This is how to design emails in Figma. This will be a step-by-step tutorial of creating this exact email that you see on screen here. Just to give you a little bit of context, my name is Zach Schieffer. I'm the founder of ZHS Ecom, and my team creates hundreds of these emails every single month for our e-commerce clients, and they made this one right here. So I'm going to give you exactly how to do it yourself. So step-by-step process here. This is just a high-level overview, and then I'll go into more of the details, but we create the frame. We want to add that logo at the top here. So whatever your brand's logo is, it'll be right there. And then we're going to add this little top bar. We'll keep it simple for this tutorial. We'll just keep it as like a plain bar right there. But as you can see, the one that my team created, this was actually a scrolling GIF. So it looks really nice. Not going to go into that detail today because that's a lot more complex, but just to give you a little bit of an understanding there. And then we're going to continue adding some more text within here. We'll add the button, and we'll add the subheader down below. We'll create the product boxes. As you can see, we'll create a basic one right here. Then we'll add this little add to cart button, and then we'll duplicate these out for the rest of the email. And then we'll go ahead and add those product images and the correct names of the products in between there. We'll also change that background color. As you can see, there's a nice little gradient that our designer added. And then we'll go ahead and add the footer within there. And then again, this is what the actual email that my team sent out looks like. So we'll do a step-by-step tutorial of that. Okay, in creating this email to the right, what we want to first do here is go ahead and create a frame. So hit F on your keyboard, drag this out. Generally speaking, we're going to want 600 pixels wide, and then just create it really tall for now. We'll go ahead and change that later. But yeah, you want everything to be really on a frame like this. Next step here is we're going to add this logo. So at the top here, what we did is just added some text in this example. However, you're going to actually add your own logo right about there. Awesome. All right. So next up, we want to create this little box right here. So we'll literally just hit R to create a rectangle on your keyboard. And then you can go ahead and make it 600 pixels wide. We'll put it into there, make sure that it's centered. And then we can go ahead and hit I on our keyboard if you have color that you want it to be. So you can select that guy right there, make it that color. We'll make it a little bit more thinner right there. And then we can go ahead and just add some text. So hit T on your keyboard, drag it, we can make some text. So we'll just copy and paste it from there. Hit T again, 8 premium pieces. And then we'll go down here. We can change that fill color to white. And then what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and center this guy like that right within this box. And then what we'll do here is we'll actually group these guys together. So we'll make sure that this guy is centered within there and it's centered within that box. Let's say it was over here. What you can do is you can select your text. You can center it vertically, horizontally, so it looks perfect. All right, if you're running a D2C brand and you're doing Klaviyo and you know it could be generating more revenue, go ahead, check out the first link in the video description to work with my team directly. We handle everything from strategy, copy, design, segmentation, the whole 9 yards. We do it for over 40 brands and have generated over $50 million in attributed revenue. So go check that out now. Awesome. All right, so we want to really go back to front. So this back layer right here is going to be this image. So what we can do is we can take this image right here and you can just throw it on. So I'll get rid of these guys. We'll put those in later, but you just want a header image. If it's not cropped well, then you can just double click on here, hit crop, and then you can crop it as needed. But for this tutorial, we'll keep things simple. Throw that guy right into there. Awesome. All right. And then next up, we're going to have some text at the top here. So we're going to hit T on our keyboard, running low, whatever that is. And then you can put that really at the top. You can make it white. And in this case, we had a different font. So we had instrument serif. So we can go ahead and change that font right there. Boom. Whatever makes sense. whoops, running low. You can go ahead, increase that font by hitting Command Shift and then left and right arrow keys. Pretty easy. Boom, right there. And then the rest of these is just going to be adding text. So you literally hit T on your keyboard to keep things simple. All we'll do is just drag these guys onto here, just like that. And then you can make sure that these guys are grouped by hitting Command G or Control G. And then you can group this guy. So if it's all the way over here, you can literally just hit that, and then we can center it horizontally, and then vertically we can put it where it needs to be. Okay, and now for the button here, what we like to do is let's first create some text. So claim your $97 set. You can add the emojis within here. And a lot of people will just create a rectangle, put the rectangle and group it together with this. Instead, what we prefer to do is use a little bit of an auto layout. So you can hit Shift A. It's going to create a frame around this. So you can see you're going to have your text and then you're going to have a frame. And then what we can do is we can actually very easily change this guy to white text, change that frame, give the frame a fill, which will be black. And then we can change this height to about 60, change the width so that it's a little bit wider. And you can do it like that. That's typically how we like to do things. When creating these buttons, we like to create them about 60 tall, and then we want to make them pretty wide within here. So that's a little bit of auto layout right there. And then we'll go ahead and center that. In the original, you can see here the text was size 18. So we'll make that a little bit smaller. And then we'll take this guy in just a little bit. Or we can do that guy right there. Bring it in, center it, and there we are. All right, and then we want to add this little bit of text. You'll just hit T on your keyboard. I'm going to drag it over right there. And then, of course, we can center it. Okay, so now in order to create this section right here, what we're going to do is we're going to create F. We're going to create another different frame right within there. And then for this frame right here, we are actually going to come in and bring this in, make the corners radius 30, and then we'll make the actual background of the frame. I hit I on my keyboard to make that color right there, the background color. And then we're just going to take this product right there. We're going to put that actually inside the frame. Make sure it looks good. Just like that. And then we can take this text, put it at the bottom there. Boom. And there we are. There's our frame just like that. And then same thing with the button. We can add that same thing below. We can make it the same size. And we can just do a simple add to cart. Boom, just like that. We generally want to make this the same size. And there we are. All right, so we'll group these guys together. And then what we'll do here is we'll create this guy, get it centered as we would like. So I'm hitting Command G to kind of group these two together. And then we'll center that group right there. Make sure all the borders look good. And then we'll do another group and another group like that. And there we are. So now all we have to do is just the boring part of adding and changing this text up. Instead of this bracelet, we're going to do the earrings. You got to make sure you're selecting the right thing. Select that picture, and then you can do a nice Command Shift R, and you can play around with this guy right there. But you can make sure that all the products line up just like that. So you just go in here, you'll change each of these. Make sure you select your correct image, and then Command-Shift-R, you can place it into there. You can do that for each of these guys. And then you can just go in here and you can type the text, or you can copy and paste from your product page. And there we are. Final step here. So once everything's looking nice, what we did here in this email is we added a gradient. So just to keep it simple, you can go into R, hit R to make a rectangle, and then we'll make this 600 pixels wide. And then we're going to place this rectangle all the way to the back. So I'm going to center it within there. So we want it to be perfectly centered. You can see we're making this little gradient. And then I'm going to hit the left square bracket, put it all the way to the back. What you can also do here is you can bring to front, bring to back. So bring to front, send to back. Boom. There we are. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a little gradient. So it's going to be a linear gradient. This one at the top is going to be white. At the bottom, it's going to be this palish color right there. So you can see it's a nice gradient on the back. And there we are. That's pretty much the entire email. What we can do for the footer, I'm not going to create it, but what you would basically do is you would create this as another rectangle. You would just simply find your icons, add them in there, boom, create another rectangle down below here, hit I on your keyboard to match that color, and then you can just create some lines with your L tool, your line, do another vertical line like that, add some text if you wanted to create that one down there. You just create it as such, and then same thing, this is just a PNG logo and some text or whatever you have as your logo. So pretty simple there. All we're going to do is just get rid of that guy right there. And since we already have it created, we're going to go into there. We're going to save you guys some time. And there we are. It's pretty much the full email. As you can see, the last steps would just be going from making them all look the same, add in that gradient background, and then add in your footer, add in the correct text. And there you are. That's the full final email. All right, and that was the video. As I mentioned before, if you're running a D2C brand using Klaviyo and you know that could be doing a lot better, go ahead, visit the first link in the video description and apply to work with my team directly. We handle everything in your Klaviyo account, from strategy to copy to design, segmentation, deliverability, the whole 9 yards. We do it for over 40 brands and have generated over $50 million for our clients. So again, first link in the video description, go apply to work with us.